Hey guys, welcome to a little bit of woo woo. I'm your host, Jill Thomas. Oh my God, you guys know this. I've told you this for a couple of weeks that she was coming, the most #1 requested guest of the whole year. And I've had a lot of amazing guests. I mean, you guys know I have a lot of amazing guests, but this is the #1 guest, the ones you guys have been emailing me, sending me personal emails, asking, can you get Karin back? I'm like, she's busy. I'll see what I can do. So Karin Schroeder has been a practicing astrologer for 35 years, trained in classical as well as spiritual astrology, and her readings focus on past life patterns, soul purpose. She's also has an amazing YouTube channel with a video I just watched that I absolutely loved. You can tell people about it because I want, after this is over, actually, or if you feel like doing it right now, just hit pause and then go over to her channel and look at this video. I'm just saying, guys, it was amazing. So what was the video on, Karin?
Oh, thank you so much, Jill. And it's really great to be back. It really is great to be back. We had so much fun last time.
So much fun. It was so much fun.
Yes. And my last video was about Rob Reiner and the tragedy of how Rob Reiner had, how his life ended. And I did the video. It was so interesting because I love the guy. I'm old enough to remember watching All in the Family and being blown away by this guy who was standing up to this really bigoted, conservative, intolerant person.
Yeah, my grandfather. No, sorry.
Well, my family too. And I'd be sitting there going, how does he get away with that? So, and then of course he made all those wonderful, so many wonderful movies that are kind of almost like a theme in my life, as well as a lot of other people. And so I wasn't going to do a video about Rob because I thought, well, that's kind of tacky. It just, maybe that's being disrespectful. But the day after it happened, I'm on YouTube and I'm seeing all these real credible, respectful psychics, tarot readers doing videos about Rob. So I thought, well, look up the chart, and if it speaks to you, do a video. So I looked up the chart, I did the video, and I have to say that as I was working on the chart, as I was looking at the chart and making notes about the chart and thinking about the chart and feeling the chart, I'm not saying that he came through. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying, though, is I felt a connection with him. And it was just this really warm, loving connection. And it stayed with me for a couple of days. So I decided to go ahead and do the video. And I hope that if any of you folks tune into it, that you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed working with that energy to get that information across.
Honestly, I've watched a lot of your videos. I'm not going to say I watched them all because I never watch all of anyone's videos, but I would say that's
my Keanu Reeves one.
Oh my God, because it was so good. I love Keanu Reeves. I thought that was your best work. I'm just saying. I could feel what you were talking about, and it was beautiful. We also lost someone else that didn't make the news very much. Jubilant Sykes was a singer, performer. I had a family connection to him, and he was in Malibu, and he ended in the same way, like the same story, the same. His son is in prison. It happened a couple of weeks earlier. It's allegedly for entertainment purposes only, but in fact, just to be clear, all of you guys, this whole video is for entertainment purposes only.
Entertainment purposes only.
Karin and I are not stock portfolio managers, doctors, or lawyers. If you need one of those, you should call one of those. I'm going to speak for myself here because Karin is not like this, but occasionally, just plain wrong. I'm just plain wrong.
Yeah,
I'm right a lot, but sometimes I'm just plain wrong. So I always feel like, don't buy a house based on anything I said. Don't buy a house at all right now, you guys. But anyway,
right. Don't change your stock portfolio with anything I've said.
Oh yeah, please. Oh my gosh, and please, for the love of God, do not only be invested in one investment, especially if it rhymes with a shiz coin. Anyway,
I was married to somebody who didn't follow his own advice and lost a lot of money.
Yeah, it sounds like
all his eggs in one basket. So
speaking of Rob Reiner, I loved him in The Wolf of Wall Street. We just watched that the other day. It was so good. I forgot he had that.
That's an intense movie.
I love that movie. I love that movie. Yeah. So, geez, let's talk about 2026. We got a long list of things, and you guys have asked a lot of questions that Karin and I are gonna cover as much as we can. What if there's kind of an overarching theme for 2026 that you want us to know about, if that's a thing, or if it's it's like,
I think there's several overarching themes. I mean, because there are some big big changes happening in the galaxy, in the constellations and the stars and the planets. And so we're getting opportunities. We're getting opportunities to make some real creative changes that help all of us. And so, I mean, I can be specific about the planets if you like, but some people get they start glazing over when we talk about that.
Including me, by the way.
Fine, it's fine. So, but, if we're going to talk about themes, that's, creative problem solving, breaking through walls. The United States in particular has some really powerful aspects going on that started a little bit last year, kind of backed off, and they're moving in for good now. And they have to do with identifying who we are as people, who we are as a country, who we're not. And we've had some really clear examples of who we don't want to be this year, really clear, extreme, severe examples. So there have been masses of people making decisions like that. So kind of an identity crisis that is coming to a resolution. We know who we are. We know who we're not. That is what's been happening. There's also at the very base of the United States chart, there is a Saturn aspect that happens every 25 to 30 years that gives us a chance to start over and start making an upward climb. Okay. But Saturn, as we know, is the taskmaster. Saturn is like, okay, we have to give the heave ho to anything that hasn't been working. We need to clean up our act. We need to, wipe the slate clean, because we're starting this new progression of energy of making changes, problem solving, making sure that everybody gets what they need, and identifying who we are as a country and locking into that identification. Locking into it. No more going back and forth. More of a unification. And so overarching themes for the country, very, very powerful, lots of hard work, but I would say very positive as we're moving through 2026, and especially as we get to the last part of 2026, when we have election time.
Oh my God. I know. It's like, I feel like I have PTSD from the last election, and it just feels, and humor me on this one, because I feel like I speak for a lot of people. It feels like it's just getting more and more crazy. I mean, every day I see some announcement that I'm just like, how is that even possible? Quiet Piggy, I thought, was the lowest we were going to get for the year, but then he found a whole new low with the Rob Reiner comments, and I went, why am I not even shocked anymore? Like, it's just... Talk about that. Can you talk a little bit about what we should expect from 47?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what can you say on that?
The phrase I kept hearing in my head all day as I was preparing for this video was, stick a fork in him, he's done. And so I'm not sure if I was coming up with that or my psychic team was coming up with that, but we've been predicting that for months, years.
Yeah. Me too, actually.
Yeah. And so
I've been predicting it too.
I have to say,
wrong.
I know. We're so tired. We're so discouraged. We're so punch drunk with the, constant assaults on our senses every day. But I haven't had a lot of political hits the way Linda G says she gets hits. I have had a couple. I had my first political hit was before Joe Biden ran for president the first time. And now, what did we have? Like 12 different Democratic.
I remember that. It was a lot.
Guys and women fighting over who was going to get nominated. And my ex-husband, who I was married to at the time, was having this discussion with his best friend. They were going through all of those quasi candidates. And then because I was in the room, they said, "Oh, who do you think is going to run, Karin?" And the hit came, and it was Joe Biden's going to run and he's going to win. And my ex-husband looked at his friend like, who's going to tell her? And one of them said, he's not running, Karin. He's not in the race. And I said, you asked me. That's what I got. And then a few weeks later, he throws his hat in the ring. I'm like, well, there you go. And then one Sunday, some months ago, I'm in the shower and I'm thinking, Kamala, Kamala, Kamala. And I'm like, what is Kamala? What is Kamala about? Anything? Give me something. And then what I got was she's going to run for president. And then I got this overwhelming feeling of excitement in my chest. And so I got dressed and I texted Susan Lynn just so that I'd have some proof in case it happened.
I love it. I love it.
I said that already.
I got receipts.
I got the receipt. So I texted Susan Lynn and she's like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Show off.
Show off.
I love Susan, by the way.
We adore her. So she's like, yeah. And I said, and I think Buttigieg is going to be her running mate. And she said, well, she wants Buttigieg, but she won't pick Buttigieg because the country's not ready for Buttigieg. So I'm like, well, okay. So I was kind of right about that. And then later on that day was the day Biden came on the TV and said, I'm not running. I'm giving this to Kamala. And I'm like, dang. Okay, 2 for 2. So last summer, I'm cleaning something, and thinking about the State of the Union and how disgusting he is. And the same hit. That's the last State of the Union he's ever going to make. I was like, I dropped my sponge. I'm like, who was that? And they don't answer questions. They just give it to you, and then they're like, you figure it out.
And it's usually just a few words. It's not a whole essay.
So that's what I'm sticking with, guys. He's not going to be able to make another State of the Union because he's not president. He's maybe not in this realm anymore. I don't know, but that's what they gave me, and I'm sticking to it.
I feel like we all kind of have a little bit of PTSD from this sort of, you guys all watching this, you guys know what I'm talking about. You've all dealt with a narcissist at some point, and you know that you you feel like you're running out of breath when you're dealing with them, because it's always, I want more attention. I want more attention. Give me more attention. Is that you're not talking about me? What's wrong? It's been like that this whole year. How do you feel about, obviously if he steps down, and when I see it, I always see it as he takes a air quotes break. I'm going to take a little break for I'm sick, and Vance is going to be, and he just never comes back.
Right. Okay.
But
I'll buy that.
How do you feel about Vance? Like, what do you see with him? Or you've looked at his chart. What do you think? Because I personally find Vance very, very hard to tune into, you guys. So when you ask me questions about him, I find it hard to give an answer, because I find him really hard to tune into. What about you, Karin? How can you?
Well, I did. Thank you for asking me that. I did do a reading on him late in the summer, maybe early in the fall, and it was hard to tune in to him for me. First of all, I didn't want to do a really too deep a dive because he's so icky.
I know. It's not good. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah. And dark, very dark energy.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very closed off. It's like he's got a bubble around his head, which might be another reason why it's tough to tune in, because all his opinions and thoughts are all about him.
Yeah.
And he's the bottom of his chart, all the Scorpio stuff. So he's coming from a place of darkness and manipulation and control and ego. But when I looked at what's happening to his chart as we move into 2026, all I saw were the marriage problems. I did not see, of course he's going to be the president. But the wind under his wings, so to speak, the power, he's not going to have it, because it's just not showing up in the chart. He's just going to be like the stick figure. Nobody's going to pay attention to him. It's going to be chaos. Nature abhors a vacuum, and I'm just hoping that that's only going to be for a short while, so that we don't get some really crazy nut job stepping into the vacuum. But he just doesn't have the power. He's not going to have the power. I'm not worried about him. I'm simply not worried about him. He's not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
He might try to pull the wool over our eyes about a few things, but I think most people have his number, and nobody likes him.
Yeah.
So,
I love that your observation with that, because I think a lot of people, and you and I both, we see clients, and we know when we see clients that there's things that come up a lot over and over again, and a lot of people seem to be developing more intuition and are sort of like, I just hear, I don't like him, I don't not like, which is a very intuitive thing to say. It's not, I don't like him because he wears green shirts. It's
right.
I don't know. Something's creepy about this guy. What are you seeing? Because you do see a lot of clients. What are you seeing with kind of the trend of where people are going? Because a lot of people are getting intuitive hits. It's kind of interesting to talk to people who talk to people. What do you think?
Well, it's very interesting, I think, because for the past couple of years, I've been crazy, crazy busy, which is wonderful. I'm real grateful for it. And I've been having these exceptional women clients. Most of them are older women. A lot of them are getting to the end of their work life, whether it's a career or a job, or they have ended their work life and they're wondering what's next. And they're telling me the same things over and over again. I feel empty. I feel discouraged. I'm lost. I'm in a fog. I don't feel good. I don't know what I'm doing next. What should I be doing next? What's coming up next for me? And what I've noticed with almost all of them is, because I see past life patterns in the chart, these are women who are powerful mystics, powerful shamans, powerful healers, powerful magicians, whether they were powerful in male past lives, but often and always, I would say, powerful female past lives, as a shaman, as a mystic, as a magician, as a wizard. And so I'm thinking, and I started to see it, and I'm thinking, well, maybe they're trying to reconnect to that. That's why they're feeling like their life is flat, or they're discouraged, or it's empty. And so I started talking to the women about this a couple years ago. And it's just like the floodgates opened in almost all of my clients. I'm looking into the past and I'm like, who were these people? These were shakers and movers, whether they were political leaders who also had an amazing intuitive sense and had power and control over other people, or they were shamans in the tribe, or in the village, or out in the forest, or in the streets, where people took care of them, because that's what you do with your neighborhood shaman. You make sure there's a roof over their head and there's food on the table, because they're doing important stuff for you, that they don't need to worry about that stuff. So what I'm finding is that, and I just recently, a couple days ago, had a conversation with one of my good friends, Lori Bell, who's a psychic healer in Arizona, very powerful, very psychic woman. And I said, do you have anything to say about this trend that I've been seeing? And she was like, oh yeah. She said, my guides have been telling me since January that this is time for us to step up. We have to step up and get our act together to shift the energy from masculine to feminine. And she said, we have to get the message out there. And I said, well, great. What do you intend to do about it? She's like, well, she has a little itty bitty tiny channel. I said, I have a small channel. I said, but we need to get you out there. And so we're still talking about how we can do that. But she said her guides have been practically like megaphone screaming at her that we're running out of time, that the time is now to shift. And she said, to move from the masculine, which is fighting and competition and who's winning and who's losing and cruelty, to the feminine, which is gentle and nurturing and nourishing and protective. But we can't forget that the divine feminine is also tough. When it's ready to push you out of the nest, she pushes you out of the nest. I've given you everything you need. You're strong enough to do this on your own. The whole talk to the hand thing. Yeah, don't give me that argument. Talk to the hand. And Mother Nature is the divine feminine, and she'll only put up with stuff for so long before she shakes you off into the next state. So the divine feminine is where we're moving to, and we have to find a way to collectively push in that direction. So I'm working on that. Lori's working on that. If we figure this out, we'll come back and talk about it again. But
I love that. And just,
it.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing you say is it's almost like, the 50s, 60s women, age-wise, 50s, 60s, 70s women who are feeling a little bit stuck and powerless. It sounds like you're saying it's now time to take your power back, figure out how you want to make the world a better place, and get to it.
Right.
These are the women, time to be on, time to join the city council. It's time to go to planning meetings and demand that extra stop sign. It's time to say, no, this doesn't work for me anymore, guys. It needs to be done in a different way. I love that approach, because I also, a lot of times with this cohort of women, first of all, they're very powerful. But they're also very, like, they'll tend to work with both sides. I'm just thinking of my hairdresser right now. She's a strong MAGA Republican. I love her, though. I mean, I love you guys. Before you put something nasty in the comments, I love her. She absolutely doesn't understand why anybody's upset about gay marriage and feels like we should just be leaving that alone. But at the same time, she doesn't like this extra tax that we keep getting every 5 minutes. So her and I can have a conversation and disagree and still be friends. I love that. And I feel like that's kind of what you're talking about, like us coming together and figuring out what things we want to make better.
Yes. But there's also a really integral piece of this that we cannot overlook or pass by. And that is, these women have to reconnect to their power. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to talk to them about. I'm telling them, go get an Akashic record reading. Find out who you were. Remember who you were and what you had, what your capabilities were, what your powers were, what you were able to change, what you were able to shift, how you were able to be in that power. And so that has to do with, as I said, I've suggested, getting some Akashic Records readings. I have a wonderful person that I give them her information, getting some energy work, whether it's from somebody like Lori Bell or somebody that you personally know that has done energy work on you. Say, hey, I have some blocks. My astrologer told me I have some blocks. And so I need to untangle those blocks, let that energy flow free so that it's easy for me to remember who I was and plug back into that, so that when I meditate, I'm doing something big with my meditation. And then going out into the world, of course, the whole point of meditation is to take it with you to your family, to your job, to the, whoever it is you're relating to in your life, in your family, in your neighbors, whatever. But that's the point of meditating, is you take that state of mind and you take it out there with you. So it's a process. It's a process.
Love it. So let's go back to something you said earlier that I want to touch on. You said, Mother Nature kind of mother with Mother Earth. Do you see anything happening with, weather events that you want to talk about coming for 2026?
I think weather events, because the planet Uranus in the sky is moving into Gemini. It did for a little while last year, I think about 2 months, and then it backed off. It's going to move in again in April, spring, which is a lot of areas of the country are already pretty windy through the spring. And I think because Gemini is an air sign and Uranus is unusual, unique, radical, different kinds of patterns, that we're going to see some wind issues,
like tornadoes,
high winds, hurricanes. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I don't know how to prepare for that. I have no idea how you prepare for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to live in a place that got tornadoes, and I just remembered it was just pay attention to the news alerts, and if they tell you to leave the house, you leave the house and go lay in the ditch and do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Something that a couple of people have asked in the comments about astrological events on February around the 20th. Is there anything?
Yeah, there's a big eclipse. There's a big solar eclipse, and I believe it's 28 degrees of Aquarius. And so, you know what? That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to look. Where does that hit the country? Oh, it's right on the moon, in the United States moon. Okay. I just heard my phone.
Okay. What were you saying about February 20th? Sorry.
The solar eclipse is right around that time, and it is in 28 degrees Aquarius, and it's on the United States moon. That's in 27 degrees Aquarius. So that is like right on top of it. And that is like a branding iron on the moon. And the moon rules the sun in the United States, which is in Cancer because it was the 4th of July, born on the 4th of July. Wow. What could that be that is bringing up something to light? You know, a solar
Oh,
eclipse.
Epstein. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? So we got all the rest of the Epstein stuff.
It could be an Epstein stuff.
I would really hate for it to take that long, but that makes
well,
sense.
you know, the sun rules the 9th house in the United States chart. So the 9th house is legal stuff. It's also foreign stuff. And so a lot of stuff is going to come to light. I would say, just generally speaking, a lot of stuff coming to light that has to do with illegal activities, probably involving foreign nations.
Allegedly, of course.
Yeah. and more Epstein things coming to light. But yeah, this is going to be more revelatory. And there's another aspect that supports that, you guys. I don't know, you may personally have remembered this as well as publicly. When the transiting Neptune in the sky went into 0 degrees, 1 degree Aries for a short while last year, when things broke open, we had a lot of things breaking open, a lot of news coming out that we were like waiting to hear about this. Now you're finally talking about it. And in our personal lives, there was a lot of things probably we were learning about people in our family, people about our friends, boyfriends, husbands, that we were like, I'd rather not have known that. Secrets coming out. So we're going to have that going on at the same time that we have that eclipse. So I'm telling you, it's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be a wild ride.
Let's talk about, if you have a sec on this, and if there's any world leaders you don't know, it's okay to say, I never looked at that chart. Any sense on the British royal family? Because people are always asking me about that.
Okay, the British royal family. I have
in the next year.
I have worked on when I find a client with something that's called a yod, Y-O-D. It's a very particular and rare configuration to have, and generally that person is dealing with lifetimes of family issues. Now, and when I tell that to my client, I say, one of the famous people that had a yod was Princess Diana. Mm-hmm. We can see that how integral she was to the royal family, trying to learn their lessons of being more compassionate, being more in touch with their emotions, being more tolerant. And so she came in with this yod, and I think it kind of broke her. It didn't end well for Princess Diana. And this is generally not something that runs in families. Both of her sons have yods. Both of her sons have yods. So, and they have said publicly, I've seen excerpts of interviews from years ago, that they are not going to let what happened to their mother happen to them.
Interesting.
So we see William dealing with it entirely differently than Harry. William has felt trapped his whole life. I don't think he ever really wanted to be the future king or be a king. So he's been trapped. And I think he dealt with it with his anger management issues and his alcohol issues. And I'm thinking that maybe when his wife got so seriously ill, that may have scared him straight. And he might be dealing with those much more successfully than he has. But he's got that same karmic planetary issue. How do I deal with the royal family? My father, what happened to my mother, my stepmother, Queen Camilla. And Harry, he has the yod as well, and he is like, I'm just out of here. I'm not putting up with this. And yet he still has the yod, so he can run. As I like to say, he can run, but he cannot hide. He's going to have to. This is a karmic issue that he has to deal with as well. So, to look at the future for them, I mean, we know that Prince William is going to be king. sooner rather than later. And it'll be interesting to watch how he uses his newfound maturity that he's found with his marriage almost going down the tube, with being king and being responsible, hopefully more progressive. And with Harry, I think I think he and Meghan will have tests to the marriage and to the family, figuring out, okay, well, we know we don't want that. What is it we do want, kind of thing. I think that's in store for the both of them. But I have to say, when I see someone with a yod, I feel that before they incarnated, like I said earlier, these are issues that they've dealt with in many, many lifetimes. And we're all given a chance before we incarnate. Do we want to do it the easy way, or do we want to do it the rough way? And if we were dealing with it for lifetime after lifetime, these souls look at it and go, I want it to be over. I want this problem to be done. I want to balance this karma for once and for all. And having a yod is very, very difficult. Very difficult. It's not easy to be William or Harry or Princess Diana or Oprah, who has one, or Fred Rogers, who had one. It's not easy. It took a lot of courage to say, let's get it done, and this is going to be over with. I swear to God, it's going to be over. I don't care how hard it is. Bring it on. I'm going to do it. So these souls had a lot of courage to come in with that, and I have to give them credit for that.
I love that. I love what you're saying. So, world leaders, we talked about England, English royal family. What do you think about Putin or Netanyahu for the year? Do you think there's still going to be a power at the end?
I don't.
Either of them?
I haven't looked at Netanyahu, but I can tell you that there are astrological aspects happening this year that when these particular combinations happen, planetary-wise, something big happens in Russia. The revolution that they had, the end of the czars, the wall coming down, it changing from Russia to USSR. These planetary combinations are coming around again this year. So I'm looking for something big to change with Putin and Russia.
Yeah, I was seeing that Netanyahu, and I felt like it was going to be Putin too, but I wasn't sure if that was going to be closer to 2027. But I was definitely seeing those two leaders being changed out. But I'm not saying off the planet. I'm just saying no longer in charge.
Right.
But that's why I was wondering if there was something in the astrology that was showing that, because that's kind of what I was seeing.
Absolutely.
What about conflict events in the United States? I mean, we do seem to be teetering on, I don't know, conflict events with everybody. I mean, I don't know. You don't have to talk about anything specifically, but is there something in the chart that suggests that we're going to be having more of that in the U.S. in 2026? Or is there anything you can say on that?
Well, as I mentioned to you before we started the recording, Jill, I watched the Ken Burns American Revolution documentary, which was mind-blowing. And it got me to be looking for interviews with him about how he made it, why it was released now. And I'm telling you, I found some fascinating things about the United States and the timing of him releasing it. And I just thought I'd share some of the what he said, some of what I thought was really important about the American Revolution and how it echoes what we're going through now. Mark Twain once said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting. So I watched the documentary. And first of all, I think most Americans think that the American Revolution happened with a bunch of older white guys in a room signing papers. And
it didn't?
No.
You got a more thorough history lesson than I did.
It was. This should be required reviewing. But this war was 8 years long. 8 years long. And what I try to tell people, it's like, do you realize we took on the biggest, most powerful country on the planet at the time, and we beat them? we beat them. Now we had help from, I don't think we could have done it without France for sure. I think Spain also helped as well. But there are things that we should know about how this country got born. That's not just about these guys signing papers. It was an 8-year bloody, violent war. Brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor. There were rapes. There was torture. There was genocide. There were black.
There were words we can't use on YouTube.
Uh-oh. Thank you for reminding me. There was
not nice stuff.
They're not allowed to say that. So there were black people that fought for the British because the British said they would free them.
Yeah, I did know about that.
And there were felons trying to get a parole. There were teenagers. There were immigrants who couldn't speak English. Different groups of immigrants. I remember there was one part of the program where we was talking about one particular military camp where nobody could understand each other. There were like 5 different groups of immigrants in this camp that couldn't understand English or anybody else that was in the camp. So we had immigrants. We had Native Americans. These people kept fighting, not just because of the idea of independence, not just because of the idea of freedom, but because they cared about the people that they were fighting with. They cared about the guys in camp with them. They didn't want to leave them behind. A lot of those soldiers, we heard about all the desertions, they had no shoes, they had no clothes, they had no food, they were out in the elements. And again, 8 years of this, they weren't getting paid a lot of the times. And so they had to go home to, plant crops or harvest a crop. And, but the ones that stayed, they stayed for their buddies. And so even though, Ken Burns says, even though the idea of the American Revolution was about independence, because of the people fighting, independence was the byproduct of the war, not the reason for the war. That we got democracy as a result of the people that fought in that war, because they weren't the elite. So the idea was, the Declaration of Independence says, and the Constitution says that only white property holders can vote. But the idea that was planted was that because all of these people were fighting, that all of these people deserved to have the rights. And women played a very important role in the American Revolution that we really don't hear about. They were the ones, there were certain, what is the word I'm looking for? When we decide not to buy something, when we boycott.
Yeah.
The wives were the ones boycotting. When there was a boycott against British cloth goods and British tea and British stamps and blah, blah, blah. The women were the ones, they're the purchasers. They're the ones that led the boycotts. They're the ones that followed their men into the army to make sure that they had something to eat and maybe a blanket to cover them and help them with their wounds. Or when they fell ill from smallpox and typhoid, they were there trying to nurse them. Or they stayed at home to keep the family business afloat. They had a very important role in the American Revolution. So
I hear what you're saying though, because I can see some parallels in what's going on right now with, is that the cat?
Yeah.
I love cats. I can see the parallels between what you're talking about with, we're doing boycotts and getting rid of Disney.
Sorry.
And all of the things that we're doing as these independent households to, make decisions based on our money and our wallets. Is there anything, and tell me if this resonates to end on anything going on with the economy that you want to talk about in 2026?
Okay.
That might be a good topic to end on, or if you want to talk about the stock market. Let's talk about money.
Let's talk about money.
Or there's
There is
something
an aspect. Let me find it in my notes here. There's an aspect.
Everybody's
that
asking me
would
about
make
gold.
it tough. Money tough.
Everybody in their readings is asking me about gold and silver, and I'm like, please don't let that be your only investment.
Yeah, please don't let that be your only investment. Oh, excuse me. I have a juvenile delinquent. Hey, trying to fight with the other juvenile delinquent.
You have more than one cat? I love cats.
Yeah, I do. I adore them, but
Your cat shows up in her videos a lot, you guys. If you like cats, her cat shows up and just see a tail walking across the screen. So cute. I love it.
a
I
big
love it.
deal.
Love it.
I found that there are a few months in the spring and a couple in the fall where things are going to be tight. I didn't see a crisis so much, although I've heard other readers say they felt there might be a crisis. Oh, they felt it was going to happen in February too. So there's that tie-in to the solar eclipse in February.
Yeah, I was having trouble with the dates, but I was feeling like we were going to see a credit crunch that was going to make, and I didn't see it just being 1 month though. I was seeing a credit crunch that would make it hard to buy houses and cars and
yes. Like I said, there are several months in the spring, several months in the fall, and credit crunch. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't affect everyone. Not everybody needs to buy a new car, but if you lost your car and you needed to buy one and you didn't have cash for it, I was seeing it might be kind of hard to get a loan for some people.
Okay.
But, I could be wrong
for banks. Yeah. Definite pressure with the banks. Yeah, I can see that too. But it sort of lasts for a few months, kind of backs off, then it comes back for a few months, and then it backs off and it stays backed off.
Okay, well, that's good to know. That's good to know that it's not the whole year. I'm relieved about that.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Any final things you want to talk about that I didn't think to ask that you think are important people will know about 2026?
I do want to add about the documentary that when Ken Burns was asked, why now? Why did you make it now? Why was it released now? And he said, when you have a close friend that's in crisis, or you're in crisis, you go to a friend and you go to a professional person to get some help. And the first thing they ask is they want to know about you. They want to know how it started. He said, because that's how you put things back together again. And so he felt it was really vital to get this documentary out there now so that we could see how we started and we could see how we can put things back together again. I can see astrologically that we are going to put things back together again. We really and truly are. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take some time. But one thing I want to remind everybody, the planet Uranus in the sky was in the sign of Gemini when we had the Revolutionary War. So it's the chart of the United States has Uranus in Gemini. When we had the Civil War, Uranus was in Gemini. When we had World War II, we had Uranus and Gemini in the sky. Every time Uranus has been in Gemini, we have been fighting tyranny. We have been fighting authoritarianism. And every time Uranus has been in Gemini and we fought those fights, we won. We won them all. We're going to win this one.
I love it. I love it. I love the idea that we're going to do it coming together as a team with our mature, confident women tuning into their own power again and reminding the world what they can do and what we can do. I love it. I love it. Love it. So Karin, I want to say thank you for coming on. I really appreciate that. I also want to say thank you because I am a mother hen when it comes to my clients. And one of my clients had a session with you and it was amazing. And she just told me how great it was. And I was like, oh, thank you. That was just made me happy. So I have an appointment with you tomorrow. She just schedule. I'm looking forward to it too. Tell people how they can get a hold of you. Obviously, I'm going to put stuff in the description, but tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. Well, my website is littlebluelotus.org. And so you can send me emails from my website. You can also send me emails to my business email, which is littlebluelotusastrology at Gmail. And then my YouTube channel, my little YouTube channel is Little Blue Lotus. I think it's just Little Blue Lotus.
I will put it in the
I
description.
might be Little Blue Lotus Astrology. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. Because I know that I had to add astrology because Blue Lotus apparently has been a real trendy hallucinogenic the past few years.
Isn't it? I thought it was a chai tea company for some
reason.
reason.
If you just put in Blue Lotus, you're going to get all kinds of
interesting.
Here,
that could be interesting too.
Band your mind.
I love it. And when you go to her channel, obviously watch the last video that she did, but also there was one she did about Keanu Reeves that I thought was really cute. And I very much enjoyed that.
Thank you. That was my first video.
Was it?
My first video. I did it about, maybe 4 years ago. And I have to tell you a funny story about that. So I was pretty proud of that video. I was pretty proud of the insights I got on his chart when I did that video. And so my son's girlfriend, now they're married, but my son's girlfriend helped me get my website, and she helped me with the video, and I think she put it on his Facebook page. She put it on all these places, hoping that he would see it, right? And so I did my first video. I'm not checking it to look at the comments or anything or seeing how many views I've got. I did a couple times in the beginning, and then I just forgot about it. And then one day I thought, oh, you should check and see if you've got any comments on your Keanu Reeves video. And there's a comment by Keanu Reeves.
Oh, I bet that made your day.
This is fake. This is not really Keanu Reeves. And so I quick got a hold of my son and I said, it's a cartoon picture of Keanu Reeves and the comment. And he goes, what's the comment? And I said, good job. And he said, that's Keanu Reeves, Mom. Keanu Reeves saw your YouTube and he said, good job. So I was like bouncing off walls for at least a week.
Oh, you had a whole week out of that. I love it.
At least I was just like, he saw my video. So Keanu, I can't tell you what it meant to me. Good job. And I have to say, patting myself on the back, I have to say that I went on YouTube and I thought, well, who else has done astrology readings about Keanu? To kind of compare myself to them. And I found like 3 or 4, and they were all like 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes long. And they're like doing all this stuff. And I'm tuning into them to see, and I'm like, no, I'm bored. And I thought, he watched mine. He watched mine.
You know which one I would love to see somebody do, and I'm not trying to give you a homework assignment here, but I would love to see somebody do a comparison to Meghan Markle and Wallace Simpson, like those two. I would love to see somebody do a chart. Just see if the similar. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's no similarities whatsoever, but I would totally watch that video.
I'm gonna make a little note. Maybe I'll just take a look and see if there's anything significant.
I mean, I don't because the stories are so similar in a lot of ways, you guys.
Yeah, but I think they're two different kind of people.
I'm sure they are. I mean, I don't know. I've never met either one of them, and I probably just said Megan's name wrong because I always get schooled every time I say it. But I would be curious to know if there's a comparison because those two stories are kind of similar. But
okay, I will take a look and see.
Oh,
your wish is my command.
Yay! Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Oh, one little thing. Oh my gosh, you guys. Weird little coincidence. A couple of weeks ago, I told you that I was going to try and get somebody from TAPS, a Transatlantic Paranormal Society Ghost Hunter show on my show. I haven't reached out to them because it was the holidays and I was like, they're going to ghost me if I do it right now. Oh my God. At the mall, I ran into Kristen Lumen at the mall, you guys. And I'm like, that's Kristen Lumen. My husband's like, it's not, it looks just like her, but it's not her. And I said, it looks just like her because it's her. And of course, he's like, because celebrities don't go to the mall, right? Anyway, I asked her if she'd be on my show. She was in line for Boba at the time.
At the post office.
You did? Well, she said she would be on, but so I'm going to say there's a non-zero chance she's coming on. If one of you guys knows her, tell her I was serious, and please say I'm going to take her up on that offer to be on my show. So if she comes, great. I'm just saying, non-zero chance we're going to get her. And if you guys know her, tell her, please, Jill really, really wants you on the show. Anyway, thank you so much, Karin. Go to Karin's
Thank you so
channel.
much.
Book a session. She's amazing. She has online booking, which I love because I think it's really nice to be able to just do it right then. And thanks for liking, subscribing, you guys. Have an amazing holiday. This may be the last video before the end of the year. I'm trying to decide if I want to do something on Saturday or not. I'll see you guys soon, you guys. I love you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Love you guys.
Bye.